The night was supposed to be uneventful. Just another corporate event, another polite exchange with people I barely knew, another ride home with my wife sitting beside me in the passenger seat. But in a single moment, a single vibration in my pocket, my entire world started to crack beneath me. The drive was quiet, the glow of streetlights flickering through the windshield as I navigated through the city. My wife, Meredith, sat next to me, scrolling through her phone absent-mindedly. She seemed distracted, lost in her own world, but I didn't think much of it. She had been on edge all evening, laughing a little too much at jokes that weren't funny, gripping her wine glass a little too tightly. I had chalked it up to stress. She'd been working late a lot, after all. Then my phone buzzed. It wasn't a call, just a simple text. I wouldn't have checked it right away, but something about the timing, the way it cut through the silence of the car, made my gut twist. Glancing at the screen, I saw an unknown number. The preview of the message was short, but enough to send a chill crawling down my spine. You should know the truth about your wife. Check the photos. My hands tightened around the steering wheel, and my heart started hammering against my ribs. For a second, I debated whether I should even open it. This had to be some kind of mistake, right? Some scam? But a deep, gnawing fear had already settled inside me. I hesitated for a moment, then tapped on the message. What loaded on my screen made my breath hitch. My entire body went cold. A series of pictures, grainy, taken from a distance, but unmistakably real. Meredith, in a dimly lit room, with a man I didn't recognize. The way they were standing, the way she looked at him, there was no mistaking it. My wife wasn't just standing next to a coworker. She was holding on to him, closer than she had been to me in months. I felt my grip on the wheel tighten until my knuckles turned white. I didn't say anything right away. The air in the car suddenly felt suffocating. My throat went dry. Meredith must have noticed something was wrong because she shifted in her seat. "Everything okay?" she asked, her voice light, almost too casual. I turned to look at her, and for the first time in years, I didn't recognize the woman sitting beside me. I swallowed hard, my mind racing. Should I confront her right here, right now? Or should I wait, dig deeper, and find out the full truth before I made a move? I took a slow breath, forcing my voice to stay even. "Yeah, just got a weird message," I said, locking my phone and setting it face down in the cup holder. She gave me a curious glance but didn't press. Instead, she turned back to her own phone, her fingers tapping away. For the rest of the drive home, I kept glancing at her out of the corner of my eye. She looked calm, too calm, and that was the part that unsettled me the most. I knew, deep down, that whatever this was, it wasn't just a misunderstanding, and I wasn't going to let it slide. The rest of the drive home felt like an eternity. Every passing streetlight cast shifting shadows across the car's interior, illuminating Meredith's face in quick flashes. She looked at ease, scrolling through her phone, her lips pressed together in a small, unreadable expression. I kept my breathing steady, but my heart pounded against my ribs like a warning drum. My mind was spinning. Who sent me those photos? Why now? And most importantly, how long had this been going on? I wanted to confront her right then and there. I wanted to shove my phone in her face and demand the truth. But something stopped me. If I was going to get to the bottom of this, I needed to be smart. If she was cheating, then she had already been lying to my face for who knows how long. Confronting her now, without more proof, would just give her time to cover her tracks. I needed to play this carefully. We pulled into the driveway, and Meredith sighed, stretching her arms. "Finally home," she muttered, grabbing her purse. She looked at me, her face unreadable in the dim car light. "You okay? You've been quiet." I forced a tired smile. "Just exhausted," I said, hoping my voice sounded normal. She nodded. "Yeah, same." Liar. She got out of the car first and I followed, locking the doors behind us. As we stepped inside the house, the silence between us felt heavier than usual. I watched her from the corner of my eye as she set her phone down on the kitchen counter and disappeared into the bedroom. The moment she was gone, I grabbed my own phone and sat down at the kitchen table. My hands felt clammy as I opened the message again, scrolling through the photos. I studied every detail. The way she leaned into the man. The way her hand rested on his chest. The dim lighting of the room. It didn't look like a restaurant or a bar. It was more intimate, like a hotel room or a private gathering. My stomach turned. I scrolled up, looking at the unknown number. "Who are you?" I typed, my fingers shaking slightly. I hesitated for a second before hitting send. A minute passed. Then another. Nothing. I clenched my jaw, frustration bubbling up inside me. Someone had wanted me to see this, but they weren't giving me anything else. I needed more. And that's when an idea hit me. I stood up and walked quietly to the bedroom. Meredith was in the bathroom, her muffled voice carrying through the door as she talked to someone on the phone. I strained to hear, but the running water made it impossible to make out the words. I turned my attention to her phone, still lying on the counter where she left it. My heart pounded as I reached for it. I had never snooped on her phone before. I never had a reason to. But now, I needed answers. I tapped the screen, and it lit up. Passcode required. Of course. I gritted my teeth. I could wait until she was asleep and try again. Or maybe there was another way. An idea formed in my mind, and though I hated myself for even considering it, I knew what I had to do. I was going to get the truth, one way or another. I stood there, staring at Meredith's phone, my mind racing. Every instinct told me that something was wrong, very wrong. The pictures on my phone were burned into my mind, and yet, she sat just a few feet away, acting as if nothing had changed. The bathroom door was still closed, water still running. She was still on the phone. I needed a way in. Meredith wasn't the kind of person to leave her phone unlocked, and I didn't know her passcode. But I'd spent years watching her type it in absent-mindedly. Could I guess? I tapped the screen again and placed my thumb over the numbers. 4 digits. She'd changed it a while back, but I had a hunch. I tried her birthday first. Incorrect. My pulse quickened. I glanced toward the bathroom, listening for any signs she was coming out. I tried our anniversary. Incorrect. Damn it. My hands felt sweaty. I only had 1 or 2 more chances before it locked me out completely. Think. Meredith wasn't someone who used random numbers. It had to be something easy for her to remember. I thought about the way she always laughed when she told the story of how we met. How she liked to say it was fate that we both reached for the same book at the same time in college. That book had always been special to her. I typed in the 4 digits of the year it was published. Unlocked. My stomach dropped. I had just broken into my wife's phone, and I didn't feel a shred of guilt. My fingers moved quickly, scrolling through her messages. I checked the most recent ones first. Nothing suspicious. I checked her emails. Same thing. Then I opened her photo gallery. And that's when my heart stopped. There was a hidden album, titled Memories. My breath hitched. Meredith wasn't the sentimental type. She rarely took pictures, and when she did, they were always random things. Scenery, food, never personal. With a shaking hand, I tapped the album. A flood of images appeared, and my world shattered. Picture after picture of her. Of them. Candid shots of her and the man from the photos I had received. But these weren't grainy, zoomed-in pictures taken by a stranger. These were taken up close. Personal. Some in restaurants, some in hotel rooms, some in places I recognized, places I had been with her. The timestamps sent a chill down my spine. Months. This had been going on for months. I felt sick. My hands clenched into fists as I swiped through the images. One after another, each one a dagger to my chest. And then I saw it. A video. I stared at it, my body frozen. I didn't want to press play. I already knew what it was. But I needed to hear it. I tapped the screen, and the video loaded. Meredith's voice filled the room. I feel so alive with you. It's different. He's just predictable. I love him, but not like this. A deep male voice chuckled in response. So, when are you going to tell him? There was a pause. Then, Meredith's voice dropped to a whisper. I don't have to. He'll never find out. I locked the phone and placed it back exactly where she left it, my heart pounding so hard it hurt. The bathroom door creaked open behind me. I turned to see Meredith, wrapped in a towel, her face flushed from the steam. She smiled at me like nothing had happened. Everything okay? She asked. I swallowed the lump in my throat and forced a nod. Yeah, I lied. But I knew now. My marriage was nothing but a lie. And I wasn't sure what to do next. I didn't sleep that night. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling while Meredith breathed softly beside me, completely unaware that everything had changed. My mind kept replaying the words from the video, the way she spoke about me as if I were just a footnote in her life. He's just predictable. I clenched my jaw. Predictable. That was the word she used to describe me. Like I was some boring constant in her life, a placeholder while she ran off chasing excitement with another man. My body was stiff, every muscle tensed with the weight of what I had seen, of what I now knew. I wanted to shake her awake, demand answers, scream, ask why, but what would that change? She had already made her choice. I turned my head slightly, watching her sleep, peaceful, as if she hadn't shattered my world just hours ago. The anger boiled beneath my skin, but I forced myself to breathe. I needed to think. I needed a plan. Confronting her now would only give her time to manipulate the situation. She'd twist her words, cry, tell me it was a mistake, make excuses, gaslight me into questioning my own reality. No, I needed to be smart. I needed proof that couldn't be denied. I slipped out of bed as quietly as I could and left the room. The house felt colder than usual, or maybe it was just me. I made my way to the kitchen, grabbed my phone, and scrolled through the pictures and videos again, each one a fresh knife to the gut. I needed more than just photos. I needed confirmation of how deep this went. Who was this guy? How long had it really been happening? And most importantly, what was her endgame? Because if she thought she could play me for a fool, she was about to realize just how wrong she was. Digging deeper. By morning, I had a plan. I left early for work, kissing Meredith on the cheek like everything was normal. She smiled at me, her eyes warm, her voice soft as she said, "Have a good day, babe." I almost laughed at the audacity of it. As soon as I was out of the house, I parked a few blocks away and started making calls. I needed a private investigator. Someone discreet. Someone who could get me everything I needed without tipping her off. I found a guy named Walter. Older, ex-law enforcement, straight to the point. "You suspect an affair?" he asked bluntly after I gave him the basics. "I don't suspect," I said. "I know." "That makes my job easier," he replied. "You want the full package? Surveillance, phone records, financials?" I hesitated. "Financials?" He chuckled dryly. "If she's been seeing him for months, she's spent money on him. Hotels, gifts, dinners. Trust me, affairs leave paper trails." A sick feeling settled in my gut. Had she spent our money on him? Had I unknowingly funded my own humiliation? "Yeah," I said finally. "I want everything." "Got it," Walter said. "Give me a week, maybe less, depending on how careless she's been." I ended the call and stared at my phone for a long time. A week. Could I last a week pretending I didn't know? Pretending my life wasn't unraveling right in front of me? I didn't have a choice. The perfect wife act. The following days were excruciating. Meredith carried on as if nothing had changed. She laughed at my jokes, kissed me goodbye in the mornings, texted me sweet nothings during the day. If I hadn't seen the proof myself, I might have believed she was the perfect wife. But now, every touch felt hollow. Every smile was a mask. And yet, I played along. I matched her energy, responded to her texts, acted like the same predictable husband she thought I was, all while watching her closely. And then, 3 days in, something happened that made my blood run cold. Meredith was in the shower when her phone lit up on the nightstand. A message. From him. I picked up the phone, my hand steady despite the storm inside me. "Friday. Same place. Can't wait to see you again. Miss you." I inhaled sharply. Friday. That was 2 days from now. She was planning to see him again. Good. Let her think she was still in control. Let her go to him, thinking she had me wrapped around her finger. Because this time, I'd be ready. Friday arrived faster than I expected, and with it came a storm of emotions I wasn't prepared for. Anger, betrayal, anxiety. I felt all of them at once, simmering beneath the surface as I watched Meredith go through her morning routine like nothing was out of the ordinary. She kissed me on the cheek before leaving for work, humming to herself, oblivious to the fact that I had already unraveled her little secret. But today was different. Today, I wasn't just playing the role of the oblivious husband. Today, I was preparing for war. tracking the truth. Walter, the private investigator, had been feeding me updates throughout the week. He had already confirmed the identity of the other man, some corporate consultant named Graham Olson, older than me, wealthier, divorced. Probably saw Meredith as a fun distraction, a shiny new toy to play with. The thought made me sick. Walter had also tracked their usual meeting spot, a boutique hotel on the other side of the city. Room 214, always booked under his name. He sent me a message that morning. She's on the move. Leaving the office early. ETA, 12:30 p.m. You still want this? I tightened my grip on my phone. Yes. I wasn't backing down now. I called in sick to work, drove across town, and parked down the street from the hotel. My hands gripped the steering wheel so hard my knuckles turned white. At 12:40 p.m., a sleek black car pulled up to the entrance. And then I saw her. Meredith stepped out, dressed differently from how she left the house. She had changed into something sleek, form-fitting, an outfit she never wore for me. Her hair was freshly brushed, her lips painted with a color I hadn't seen her use in years. My chest tightened. This wasn't a spur-of-the-moment mistake. This was planned, rehearsed. She walked into the hotel without hesitation. She knew exactly where she was going. I exhaled slowly, forcing myself to stay calm. I wasn't going to storm in there like some lunatic. That would give her the upper hand, make me look unhinged. No, I needed to be smarter. So I waited, watching it unfold. An hour passed, then two. Walter was inside, positioned discreetly, taking pictures, gathering proof. At 3:15 p.m., I got a new message from him. They're leaving soon. You want to intercept, or let this play out longer? My fingers hovered over my phone. I wanted to rip open the facade right here, right now. Expose her for who she really was. But then another thought hit me. Why not let her dig her own grave deeper? I texted back, let it play out. Just send me everything. Minutes later, Meredith emerged from the hotel, fixing her hair, adjusting her dress. A car pulled up, and she slipped inside without a second glance. I sat in my car, gripping my phone so tightly it felt like it might crack. I had all the proof I needed now. There was no more room for lies. Now, it was just a matter of when I would make my move. And when I did, Meredith wouldn't see it coming. The weight of everything I had learned settled deep in my bones. The woman I had trusted, the woman I had built my life with, had been sneaking around behind my back for months. She had planned her deception down to the smallest detail, certain I would never find out. But now, I had the proof. Walter had sent me every picture, every timestamp, every damning detail. My phone was a treasure trove of betrayal, each image slicing through my chest like a dull knife. Meredith was completely unaware. She walked through the door that evening like nothing had happened. She smiled at me, kissed my cheek, and asked if I wanted takeout for dinner. The audacity of it all almost made me laugh. I played my part, nodding and keeping my voice casual. Yeah, that sounds good. She hummed happily, scrolling through her phone like a woman without a care in the world. I caught a glimpse of her screen. Her conversation with Graham was nowhere to be seen. Of course, she must have deleted the messages the moment she left the hotel. But no matter how careful she was, she had already lost. Because I had a plan. Setting the stage. That night, while Meredith slept soundly beside me, I made my final moves. First, I forwarded all of Walter's findings to a secure email. Every picture, every video, every single piece of evidence. If she tried to lie her way out of this, I wanted to make sure there was no room for doubt. Next, I made two important calls. One to a divorce lawyer, and one to Graham's ex-wife. Walter had uncovered some interesting details about him. His bitter divorce, his ongoing custody battle, his carefully curated image as a respectable businessman. His ex-wife, Claire, had every reason to hate him, and I had a feeling she'd be very interested in the proof I had. She picked up on the third ring. "Who is this?" she asked, suspicion lacing her voice. I kept my tone calm, controlled. "I think you'll want to hear what I have to say. It's about your ex-husband." There was a long pause. Then, a wary, "Go on." I told her everything. Every disgusting detail. I forwarded the pictures, the videos, and the hotel receipts Walter had dug up. The silence on the other end of the line stretched long and heavy. Then she exhaled sharply. I knew he was a cheating bastard, but this, she hissed, he's been trying to take my kids away from me, preaching about morality and stability. Oh, he is going to regret this. I didn't doubt that for a second. By the time I hung up, I knew I had just started a fire that neither Meredith nor Graham would see coming, letting her walk into it. The next morning, I acted normal. I kissed Meredith goodbye, told her I had some errands to run, and waited for the pieces to fall into place. By noon, I got a text from Claire. Check your email. This is going to be fun. I opened my inbox and saw an attachment. A formal complaint had been filed against Graham. His ex-wife was going after everything. His reputation, his parental rights, his finances. And she was dragging Meredith's name right into the mud with him. Perfect. Now, I just had to wait for the storm to reach my wife. At 5 p.m., Meredith walked through the front door, looking pale and shaken. She set her purse down carefully, her fingers twitching as she fidgeted with the strap. Hey, she said, forcing a smile. How was your day? I leaned back against the couch, crossing my arms. Eventful. She swallowed hard. Yeah, mine too. She was nervous. Good. I kept my expression neutral. Something happened? Meredith hesitated for a second too long. No, just work stress. Liar. I nodded slowly. Huh, that's funny. She stiffened. Why? I let the silence stretch between us, let the tension coil tight, let her squirm under my gaze. Then, I picked up my phone, unlocked it, and turned the screen toward her. Her face drained of color, because staring back at her were the very photos I had received. The hotel room, the stolen glances, the way she clung to Graham like I had never existed. The air between us was electric, charged with something I couldn't even put into words. She opened her mouth, but nothing came out. For the first time in months, Meredith was speechless. And I was finally in control. The color drained from Meredith's face as she stared at my phone screen. Her mouth opened and closed, but no words came out. She looked like she had just been punched in the stomach. Good. I stayed silent, letting her squirm. I wanted to see how she'd react, what excuse she'd try to spin. Would she deny it? Would she cry? Would she try to blame me? I didn't have to wait long. Where did you get those? She finally stammered, her voice barely above a whisper. I tilted my head, pretending to think. Oh, you know. Someone thought I deserved to know the truth. Her breath hitched. She was unraveling, her carefully constructed mask slipping with every passing second. It's not what it looks like, she rushed out, her voice laced with desperation. I let out a short, humorless laugh. Not what it looks like? I gestured at the screen. So, you didn't spend the afternoon in a hotel room with Graham? Because these pictures seem pretty damn clear to me. She took a step forward, her hands trembling. Please, just let me explain. Explain what? My voice was sharp now, all the anger I had held back crashing through. Explain how you've been lying to my face for months? Explain how you've been sneaking around like I wouldn't notice. I shook my head. No, Meredith. I don't want to hear your lies. Her breathing turned ragged, her chest rising and falling rapidly. She looked absolutely terrified. I never meant to hurt you, she whispered, tears welling up in her eyes. I scoffed. You never meant to hurt me? That's funny. Because you sure as hell didn't care about hurting me when you were running off to be with him. You didn't care about hurting me when you looked me in the eye every day and pretended like everything was fine. She reached for me, but I stepped back, and the rejection made her flinch. I love you, she choked out, her voice breaking. It was just a mistake. A stupid mistake. I let those words hang in the air for a moment before shaking my head. No, a mistake is forgetting to buy milk at the store. A mistake is missing an appointment. I lifted my phone again, flashing the pictures in front of her face. This wasn't a mistake, Meredith. This was a choice you made over and over again. Her tears finally spilled over, running down her cheeks as she clutched her head in her hands. I was confused. I didn't know what I wanted. I let out a bitter laugh. Oh, You knew exactly what you wanted. You wanted the security of a loyal husband while getting your thrill on the side. And now that you're caught, you suddenly don't know what you wanted. She let out a sob, collapsing onto the couch. Please, we can fix this. We can go to therapy. I can make it right. I stared at her, feeling nothing but emptiness. Make it right? My voice was calm, eerily so. Meredith, there is no we anymore. There is nothing to fix. The only thing left to do is for you to pack your things and leave. Her head shot up, her tear-filled eyes wide. Wait, no. No, please. We've been together for years. You can't just throw it all away over one mistake. I exhaled slowly, shaking my head. You already threw it away, Meredith. I'm just the one making it official. Silence. Heavy and suffocating. And then, her phone buzzed on the table. We both froze. I glanced down at the screen, and a cruel smirk curled on my lips. A message from Graham. Is he buying it? Call me when you're alone. I turned my gaze back to Meredith, and the horror in her eyes told me everything. She wasn't sorry. She wasn't heartbroken. She was still lying. And in that moment, I knew. This wasn't just the end of my marriage. This was the end of the woman I once thought I knew. I stared at Meredith's phone, the words on the screen searing into my mind like a final, undeniable truth. Is he buying it? Call me when you're alone. For a second, I felt nothing. No anger. No sadness. Just relief. This was it. The last nail in the coffin. I turned the phone around so she could see it. Tell me, Meredith, I said, my voice steady, almost calm. What exactly was I supposed to be buying? Her face twisted in pure panic. He's lying. He's just trying to stir things up. I wasn't. I held up a hand, stopping her mid-sentence. Save it. I let out a small, humorless chuckle. I think I've heard enough lies for one lifetime. She opened her mouth again, but this time, no words came out. She knew. She had lost. For the first time in days, I felt completely at peace. I exhaled slowly and grabbed my phone, pulling up the email I had prepared the night before. One click, and the lawyer would move forward with the divorce papers. Another click, and all the evidence I had collected would be sent to everyone who mattered. Her boss, her family, even her so-called friends who had probably known all along. But I didn't need revenge. Not anymore. I just needed my life back. I hit send. Then I stood up, walked to the closet, grabbed a suitcase, and tossed it onto the bed. You have until tomorrow morning to pack and leave. Meredith's lip trembled, her eyes darting wildly like a trapped animal. I don't have anywhere to go, she whispered. I shrugged. Not my problem. She let out a choked sob, but I wasn't falling for the tears this time. I walked past her, grabbed my keys, and headed for the door. Before stepping out, I turned back one last time. Oh, and Meredith? She looked up, hope flickering in her eyes like she thought there was still a chance. I smiled. A real, genuine smile. Thank you. She blinked. What? I let out a breath I hadn't realized I was holding. For setting me free. I would have stayed with you forever, never knowing what kind of person you really were. Now, I can finally move on. And trust me, I will. And with that, I walked out. A new beginning. That night, I didn't go to a hotel or crash at a friend's place. Instead, I drove to a little spot by the lake, somewhere I used to go when I needed to clear my head. The stars stretched endlessly above me. The water lapped softly against the shore, and for the first time in a long time, I felt alive. No more wondering. No more second-guessing. No more wasting my life on someone who never truly valued me. As I sat there, breathing in the cool night air, my phone buzzed. A message from Walter. Divorce papers are in motion. You did the right thing. I smiled. For the first time in a long time, I knew that was true. I didn't lose anything today. I gained everything. And the best part? I was just getting started.